welcome to another boring ass workout vlog. Actually, this one's pretty cool because it is the first time I've got to hold a barbell with weight above my head since September, so I'm pretty happy about it. Alright, so I fractured my radius back in September, and the problem that this has presented me is in my true overhead position in my snatch, the rotation through the elbow biceps forward instead of biceps straight up puts a little bit too much torque through that particular site. So in my return to sport, I am taking it very conservatively, and I'm not actually going to be turning weight over for the first month. Meaning this first month is almost exclusively going to be isometric, heavy overheads, with no movement through the elbows. So the goal is to load the joint as heavily as possible, with no motion, to get that joint used to being loaded heavily again, in its correct position. So, enter the bottoms up overhead squat. Unfortunately, this is an entirely new movement to me, so locking up my upper back in this bottom position is actually relatively difficult. As you'll see, the weight has quite a bit of drift to it, and that seems to be one of my biggest issues right now, rather than the elbow being an issue. So this is 235, as you can tell, a little bit of drift on that bar, having a little bit of a hard time keeping that back nice and tight. And now this clip here is going to be a little bit longer because I actually want to show you guys that this is very mental for me. It might not seem like much, but at this point in the workout, it became very mental for me. I had to really focus and draw a lot of energy into basically actually going and getting into position and hitting this lift. Usually for me, stuff is pretty automatic, but right now, just because this injury, I get in my head very easily, especially around that elbow. So on my first attempt at 255, my shoulder actually rotated, which loaded the elbow a little more. It didn't actually aggravate the elbow, so I did give it a second shot. The 255 went up nice and smoothly for me, but again, I am pretty unstable in that overhead position right now. So again, kind of considered if that was going to be my max weight for the day, but decided to give 265 a shot, and just simply couldn't keep those elbows nice and tight, and my back nice and tight. That bar came very close to hitting me on the back of the head, which I'm glad it didn't. So then I backed it off to some arbitrary number between 70 and 75% and held it for as long as possible, as stably as possible. And as you can tell, even at 185, my overhead stability right now is lacking quite a lot. But we'll come back to the overhead stability later in the session. Then had some Pendlay Rows at 225. I had a 5x8 of these guys. Again, the emphasis is not necessarily on hypertrophy, but on a powerful back, moving weight relatively fast. In addition, building up my spinal erectors. Now, this is the only barbell pressing that I am currently doing, snatch grip behind the neck press. Now, you might not be able to notice this on camera, but I can definitely feel this. My left elbow is locking very slightly after my right elbow. There's a little bit of a timing disconnect, and that's actually what I'm primarily working on right there. Then I had this disgusting 4x25 front lat pull down, concentric focus, really focusing on being explosive through every single motion. Basically the last set is where you end up failing. This is actually my third set, so you can't really tell. But when you're doing 100 reps a side and you don't really have any rest, it kind of ends up hurting a lot. And now we're back to our overhead stability to finish off the session. So I'm rocking that PVC pipe with kettlebells because I don't own an earthquake bar. If anybody feels like donating one, I would love that, but you know. So just up and down the turf. These are only 18-pound kettlebells, and just easing into the overhead stability work. So that was my max effort overhead session 1. Pretty happy with my overall result of 255 going over my head today. Please hit that like and subscribe and help me out. That would be awesome, and I will be posting again tomorrow for my dynamic effort day.